This is CNN.
In the midst of bloody riots, Thailand's king offers a lesson in royal power, lecturing the prime minister and the opposition leader to work to end this unrest. And they are gathering outside a Virginia prison to protest the scheduled execution of a man who insists he is innocent.
This is CNN's Prime News, taking the time to examine world events, issues, and newsmakers, with Bernard Shaw in Washington and Susan Rook in Atlanta.
Thanks for joining us. For 4 days, Thailand's king had remained out of public sight, watching in silence as his nation nearly tore itself apart in violent protests, until Wednesday. Although he is only a ceremonial position, the king still has enormous influence, and he used it to intervene in the unrest. The question is, will it work? CNN's Jim Clancy reports from Bangkok.
In effect, King Bhumibol Adulyadej of Thailand ordered an end to the crisis by commanding the prime minister and the leader of the opposition to halt further confrontation and find a peaceful solution. The king's strategy left no room for maneuvering. It amounted to a nationally televised trip to the woodshed for both men. The decision by the king to intervene came after another day of violence and confrontation on the streets of the capital. Young people torched a pickup truck in a show of defiance against government troops, then tried to overturn a nearby fire truck that in the end proved too heavy. In those and other scenes, the peaceful demonstrations of just a week ago disintegrated into an anti-government rampage. This army unit moved in to take control of key government buildings, firing some warning shots, but displaying overall restraint. As the military gained ground in the center of Bangkok and marked those territorial achievements with barbed wire, students and young people shifted the confrontation to side streets. Astride their motorcycles or standing in the roads, the demonstrators taunted the troops. A company of soldiers responded by advancing and loading their weapons. A woman bystander shouted for them to stop, not to kill their own people. The bloodshed has shocked the people of Thailand and taken a toll on the spirits of both sides. Troops appear nervous. The protesters are startled by any sudden movement by soldiers or police. In a nationally televised address, Prime Minister Suchinda Kraprayun put the official death toll at 40, with more than 600 others wounded. The protests center on Suchinda's holding the post of prime minister while not being elected by the people. He was Thailand's military chief. The prime minister gave no indication he was willing to step down, but asked the people of Thailand to cooperate to end the crisis. Many weren't in the mood.
No any cooperation, because the army just do on just like the General Suchinda just want his own to survive. He don't care to the people.
After the meeting with the monarch, there was still no promise that Prime Minister Suchinda would be pushed aside. But the people of Thailand are almost certain to follow the king's bidding and end the street protests. One of the immediate benefits may be a general amnesty that would free thousands of protesters who have been jailed during the last week. One of those is opposition leader Shamlong Sirmong. He appeared alongside his rival after their meeting with the king and asked students to call off their protests. The dramatic midnight hour intervention by King Bhumibol appeared to have an almost immediate effect here on the streets. Student leaders announced they were ending their protests, but the real test may come next week when Parliament may be called on to decide the future of Prime Minister Suchinda. Jim Clancy, CNN, Bangkok.
With just 3 hours left until he's scheduled to die in Virginia's electric chair, Roger Coleman is waiting to find out if the U.S. Supreme Court will hear his last-minute appeal and block his execution. His supporters have rallied behind Coleman's claim that he's innocent of the 1981 rape and murder of his sister-in-law. But today, Coleman failed a lie detector test. Governor Douglas Wilder says if the test showed Coleman was telling the truth, it might have changed his decision to deny clemency. Coleman's mother says she still believes her son.
I'm a mother. You got kids? You know when your kids are lying? I do too. That's it. And he told me, Mom, I didn't do this. And I know he didn't do it. And they're going to keep on. Even if they do this to my son, they're going to keep on. And it's going to be out. And everybody will see that he didn't do it.
Meantime, in Texas, 27-year-old Jesus Romero was executed by lethal injection today for raping and killing a teenage girl nearly 8 years ago.
It was a day of very unusual politics, fallout and squirming after a critical remark by the vice president on the fictional television character Murphy Brown. On Monday, that character, though unwed, gave birth. A poor message, argues Vice President Quayle, who suggests fatherless families are the root of recent urban turmoil. CNN's Mary Tillotson picks up the story.
The complexities of modern family life have White House officials backing and filling on what they really think about Murphy Brown's baby. The TV sitcom this week featured single mother Murphy having a baby instead of an abortion. In appearances in Los Angeles, Vice President Dan Quayle has implied the show undermined fighting urban blight by, as Quayle put it, mocking the importance of fathers and glorifying illegitimacy.
I don't believe that we should glorify illegitimacy. There are too many children born out of wedlock.
The Quayle attack produced some White House squirming. Murphy did decide against abortion, after all, just what George Bush prescribes in such situations.
I don't favor abortion, and I think that opting for life is the better path.
But the president agrees with Quayle that a two-parent family is best for kids.
I really believe that is stabilizing, and I think the decline in the family, as this country's known it over the years, is a discouraging factor.
New York Governor Mario Cuomo twitted the vice president for suggesting a TV sitcom has much to do with influencing real life in the inner city.
He has a comic book mentality, frankly. He has a television mentality.
My complaint is that Hollywood thinks it's cute to glamorize illegitimacy. Hollywood doesn't get it. I wish they were here in the streets with me today to talk to these kids about the future.
Time magazine's film critic says if any popular entertainment feeds inner city violence, it is not a sitcom, but more likely the kinds of movies made by Bush-Quayle supporter Arnold Schwarzenegger.
The truth is, Terminator 2, Lethal Weapon 3, movies with strong, violent themes where you're seeing bodies blown up right and left, have far more influence on the immediate rioting in Los Angeles.
Democratic presidential frontrunner Bill Clinton makes the same point.
The glorification of violence and power and money and greed and short-term benefits on television may have been more destructive of family values.
Bush and Quayle and Clinton are all right. All the evidence is that children are better off with a stable two-parent family and without a steady diet of video violence. As President Bush likes to say, the government cannot replace the family. But as his Democratic critics like to say, the government could do more to help the family, including extra money for summer jobs Democrats would like to add to Mr. Bush's emergency recovery package for cities. The president's opposed. Mary Tillotson, CNN, the White House.
Up next on Prime News, Beyond the Bust. One state considers a way to make drug dealers pay for the victims' pain. And at 1:30, the continuing crush of Haitian refugees. Conditions are hot, cramped, and horrible, and the U.S. military is in a quandary. Then at 1:55, Learning by Example, a program to help kids who grow up in the ghetto get out.
Prime News is brought to you by Ektar Film from Kodak. For advanced photographers, the genius is in the details.
It is from Kodak. It delivers the highest resolution. Microfine grain. Superior image structure. For ultra-sharp detail. It is called Ektar. Ektar Film by Kodak. The genius is in the details. Ektar film now comes in a new cartonless package in 25, 100, and 1,000 speeds.
To explore American history, all you need is a map of Virginia. Route 460, Appomattox. Interstate 64, Monticello. And southeast of Richmond, down the same road, there's Colonial Williamsburg, Yorktown, and Jamestown. But now, if you like your history to go back even further, take Route 702. Left at the big tree, walk about 50 feet, and listen. Call for your free Virginia Vacation Guide.
What traits do you look for in a financial firm? A herd mentality? Unsteadiness? Complacency? Or do you look for strength? Stability? Knowledge of the world? What traits do you look for?
A lot of the ideas that come into Pip Printing look pretty amazing. But thanks to our Look Smart Desktop Publishing, they all go out looking pretty amazing. Desktop Publishing, one more reason Pip Printing's the biggest business printer in the world.
Tonight, Halcyon. The FDA approved it. But does this sleeping pill cause real-life nightmares? Safety versus side effects on Larry King Live. Tonight, 9 Eastern on CNN.
A close call at New York's LaGuardia Airport. During a landing approach on Monday, a U.S. airjet reportedly came within 50 feet of colliding with United Airlines jet on the ground, with 91 people on board. Federal aviation officials will not confirm the details released by United, but they say the incident is being investigated.
The Michigan legislature is considering a new weapon in the war on drugs. A proposed law would enable people to sue drug dealers. But one ticklish question is, which dealer? CNN's Ed Garston explains.
Suppose your baby was born addicted to crack cocaine. Suppose one of your employees was a customer of an illegal drug dealer and it affected your business. And suppose you're an insurer who must pay for medical treatment for a drug addict. In all those scenarios, what recourse do you have? If Michigan becomes the first state in the nation to adopt a proposed new law, recourse will be the American standby: sue.
What's unique about this act is it allows a employer, it allows whoever took care of a crack baby or the parents or others in the community that are damaged by drug dealers to sue the drug dealer for damages in civil court.
If we're going to really hit this crime hard, we've got to deal with the people who are making the profits.
But it's not always possible to identify the dealer that provided the drugs. So who do you sue? Well, that's where the proposed law gets fuzzy. In the case of a crack baby, the parent could sue any drug dealer operating in the area when the mother started using the substance.
I think this particular approach, I don't know any other way to describe it other than to say that it is profoundly stupid. It flies in the face of the most fundamental principle of our legal system. If you're going to sue somebody, then under our basic rules of civil liability, you've got to make sure that you've identified the right person.
Critics also say suing drug dealers will only jam up the justice system worse than it is now.
I hope it makes the judges very busy. I hope it gets the lawyers a lot of new work, because I think it's exactly what we ought to be doing.
The proposal has been in the Michigan legislature's hands for just a few weeks now, so its fate is uncertain. But it would not be the first time drug dealers would pay for their crime by paying with cash or property. The federal government, along with many local governments, have forfeiture laws on the books.
And while property forfeiture laws designed to hit drug dealers in the pocketbook have been around for a decade, Michigan's governor says it's time to hit them again, only harder. Ed Garston, CNN, Lansing, Michigan.
Los Angeles police officer Lawrence Powell wants the country to know he's not a racist. In a videotape that Powell made after he and 3 other officers were cleared of assault charges in the beating of Rodney King, Powell stated, quote, "My girlfriend of 4 years is Hispanic. I have cared for and nurtured many foster children. The majority of them were African American or Hispanic. Currently, we are caring for a 3-year-old black girl, and we have 2 Hispanic children living with us as well." Last week, a judge ordered Powell be retried on the charge of using excessive force against Rodney King.
A Texas newspaper is reporting that close to 200 employees of the Dallas Independent School District are convicted felons, and many of them are teachers. The felons were convicted of a variety of crimes, including murder, armed robbery, and drug distribution. Officials are now trying to dismiss at least 49 of the felons. Some of the employees say they will appeal.
Believers who belong to a controversial Boston-based church dismiss critics who compare the church to a cult. As Jim Hill reports, the criticism has focused on the church's strict discipline and its methods of evangelism.
You know, all new housing, all new everything.
The church members meet in small study groups to talk about the Bible and how their fundamentalist view of it has changed them.
We needed the discipline of God in our life.
The strict discipline of the Boston Church of Christ has made strong believers of many.
I don't think my life has ever had this much balance before. I'm having a ball.
But it's also left a trail of ex-members who say it's more of a cult than a congregation.
I couldn't take it anymore.
20-year-old Amy L. Lieberman says she spent a year and a half in the church, constantly badgered by so-called disciplers. They were church members who instructed her in every detail of her life, her dress, hairstyle, choice of college, and told her to reject anyone outside the church.
We studied the Bible intensively for hours, and they were telling me how my family was of Satan and everything. And got to the point where I was scared of my family, even to touch me or talk to me.
Founded in 1979 by evangelist Kip McKean, the church claims 150,000 members worldwide.
No way are we a cult.
Kip's brother Randy now runs the original Boston congregation, where he says his disciplers try to convert people to the will of God, but never coerce.
I do think we've had, at times, some that have been overly zealous. And we try to teach what's the right thing on that. But in the sense of what we practice and what we teach and how we want our people to be, heavy-handed, no.
But some experts believe the Boston church is a classic cult, divided into a hierarchy of study groups, zones, sectors, and congregations. It strictly controls members' lives to bring church leaders power and financial donations.
The bottom line is people are not developing spiritually, but what they're becoming are clones of Kip McKean and the top leadership.
There have been enough complaints about the church's aggressive evangelism that a number of universities have banned on-campus recruiting. Boston University and the University of South Carolina among them. Both the church and its critics seem certain to continue their efforts, a sort of test of opposing wills over what is or isn't the will of God. Jim Hill for CNN, Boston.
Still ahead on Prime News, economic recovery stumbles on March's trade figures and a warning from consumer advocates. They say you don't need insurance to repay loans if you can't.
I try to ignore my sensitive teeth, but they hurt.
Don't ignore your sensitive teeth. Sensodyne helps stop the pain that can make you stop brushing. Could lead even to tooth loss.
Thanks, Sensodyne.
Sensodyne helps stop the pain and the domino effect.
Hey, is Tegrin shampoo on sale?
Nope, that's their new lower price.
But it's still just as tough on dandruff, right?
Sure, Tegrin doesn't do less, just costs less.
Sounds right to me.
Tegrin, the right dandruff shampoo at the right price.
When you travel a lot, one hotel begins to look like another. But only Hampton Inn guarantees you'll be completely satisfied or your night stay is free. So you always relax in a clean, comfortable room for a good night's rest. Our continental breakfast is on the house, and local calls are free. Call today for this free directory or make reservations now at the one hotel you can always rely on. Call 1-800-HAMPTON now.
Pip Printing has just what every rapidly expanding business so desperately needs. Someone to handle all the paperwork. Pip Printing. Give us a call. We'll show you why we're the biggest business printer in the world.
This is what Miracle Grow does for me.
I grew a prize-winning dahlia 14 inches wide.
Roses 8 inches across.
You'll never know what a great gardener you can be until you've used Miracle Grow.
Tonight on Sports Tonight, got all kinds of baseball for you. The A's and the O's at Camden Yard, plus the St. Louis Cardinals with a chance to move into a first-place tie in the National League East. All that, plus you can win the adventure of a lifetime tonight at 11.
Recession around the world helped drive the United States trade deficit higher in March. It soared nearly $6 billion, almost 77% higher than February's figures. Imports hit an 18-month high while exports sagged. Analysts are suggesting the trend could continue as Americans become more able to buy imports, but weakened overseas economies cut U.S. export sales. President Bush promises to mend fences with the United States' best trading partner. Prime Minister Brian Mulroney laid out Canadian complaints in Washington today. Canada is angry over U.S. decisions placing duties on Canadian lumber and Canadian-made Hondas. Polls show few Canadians support continuing the current U.S.-Canada free trade agreement. Mr. Mulroney is being urged to hold up North American trade pact talks until the United States honors its pact with Canada.
Solomon Brothers is agreeing to pay $290 million, but will not face criminal prosecution for cheating in federal bond auctions. The settlement was announced today by the Justice Department and Securities and Exchange Commission. It includes $190 million in fines and forfeitures, plus another $100 million to compensate victims. It is the second largest settlement in a Wall Street scandal after the Drexel Burnham Lambert junk bond episode. Macy's says it will close 8 department stores by August 1st as the retailer fights to come out of bankruptcy protection. The stores employ nearly 1,900 people. On the hit list are stores in Newark and Brooklyn, as well as 2 New York suburbs, along with some locations in South Carolina, Maryland, and Georgia. A store in Macy's Bullock's chain in California will also close.
Consumer groups are advising the millions of Americans who buy credit life insurance that it's a bad idea and a bad deal. CNN's John Holloman reports.
When you apply for an auto loan, you might hear something like this from the seller.
Boy, are you lucky. We have a bank that's going to give this, that we use for our loans, that if you die, your family won't have to pay off the car.
Credit life insurance is almost always pitched when you apply for a loan from a car dealer, a finance company, or a credit card distributor. They make the pitch because there's big money in it.
What they're trying to do is get the largest possible commission. And that commission averages nationwide around 35%, and we've seen examples of it as being as high as 70% of the premium dollars.
Consumer advocates complain credit life is the nation's worst insurance ripoff, especially for those with other life insurance.
Only 42 cents on each premium dollar are paid out in claims. Consumers are overcharged by well over $500 million a year. Moreover, most borrowers don't need credit life insurance.
The industry counters it wouldn't be so popular if it didn't fill an important need.
You will not have to take a medical exam, get a blood test, and nobody will ask you whether or not you're a smoker, which bills in higher rates, as you know, for most people. The rate is universal, and it's widely available, and it's affordable.
Consumer advocates are urging state insurance commissioners to either force sellers of credit life to charge less for it, or else to return more of the premiums paid to customers in the form of benefits. John Holloman, CNN, Washington.
46 states and 3 long-distance companies are teaming up against 900 numbers that offer services but don't deliver. The state attorneys general says the long-distance companies signed agreements to counter the fraud. Now, under the plan, the authorities will tell long-distance carriers when complaints about a 900 line get out of hand. Carriers would then cut off access to the line and hold payments in escrow to reimburse customers.
Coming up on Prime News, trying to make a child's uncomfortable questions about sex a little easier for a parent to handle. Karen?
Oh, Bernie, we have some spring snow to tell you about. Also, some springtime thunderstorms. Details as CNN's Prime News continues.
Available dual airbags and anti-lock brakes. Mercury offers them on Grand Marquis and Sable. And now, lease Mercury Sable. Sleek, responsive, comfortable, for a low payment of $299 a month. Or Mercury Grand Marquis, room for 6, V8 power, at just $399 a month. Mercury Sable and Grand Marquis, where savings and safety run side by side. All this and the quality of a Mercury.
You could ease up a little.
Table for 2 in about 5 minutes. Mr. Douglas, I have your table.
But you're not gonna. You could stop being a perfectionist. But you're not gonna. You're not going to change because of heartburn, and you don't have to. There's something new that's like no ordinary antacid. New Maalox Heartburn Relief. It stops the burning and helps keep it from coming back. So get on with life like you're going to live it. New Maalox Heartburn Relief is made for you.
Vacations are more fun when there's a great deal in store. I go Hojo.
Free Little Rascals fun packs for kids. Little Rascals videos for just $4.99. Great summer sale rates for grown-ups, and kids stay free, so everybody's happy.
When the sun goes down at the end of every day, America turns to orange. Power drops in today. I go Hojo.
For reservations, call 1-800-I-GO-HOJO.
Hi, I'm Barbara Lawler of Sears Brand Central, and right now count on great prices on top brands during our once-a-year Carnival of Values.
And here's just a few examples. Our Kenmore heavy-duty large-capacity washer is just $328.88. Matching dryer just $258.88. Or save $50 on this Kenmore PowerMate canister vacuum with 4.3 peak horsepower. And there's much more right now.
So hurry to Sears Brand Central now. The Carnival of Values ends Saturday.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Of course, depends on where your neighborhood is. Let's check it out. Here's Karen McGinnis.
Susan, yeah, it started out gorgeous across the Northeast, a little bit crisp. It felt like fall, but by the afternoon, the sunshine was out. One of the few areas that didn't see the afternoon buildup of these big thunderstorms. All week long, there's been a lot of influx of moisture into the Four Corners region, so places like Arizona and New Mexico have really picked up a lot of activity. In this composite of cloud cover as well as the precipitation, there's also been a buildup across Texas and in through Oklahoma and back over into the Tennessee Valley region. There's been an upper-level low system here that has been slowly tracking towards the north, but still not fast enough because Bexar County, Texas, saw about 3 inches of rainfall this afternoon. On top of that, not that we're talking about this frontal system dropping those temperatures dramatically. However, the temperatures were soaring across the northern Great Plains, so they're going to be back to near normal levels. However, there is an area of low pressure which is spinning up here across Alberta, Canada. So our neighbors to the north are going to pick up some snowfall, believe it or not. In Calgary, Edmonton, and for St. Paul, you could see between 3 centimeters and 10 centimeters of snowfall. Thursday morning, there's that frontal system, and however, it looks like Texas is going to be drying out just a little bit. You could see some isolated storms. Then by Thursday afternoon, the frontal system is slowly making its way towards the east. So now the activity materializes across North and South Dakota, back in through Colorado, and eventually into the Great Basin and the Four Corners region. And Arizona, I think you're in line for it once again. Even at this hour in Kentucky, even though you will be protected by high pressure at Campbellsville, they're reporting some flooding there. Some of these storms just don't want to move. They stay in one place and have the potential to produce heavy amounts of rainfall, lots of lightning, so take cover if one of these storms materializes in your area. For Alaska, Hawaii, and the Caribbean, across the Hawaiian island chain, a weak convective pattern will lend itself to some light interior showers over the next day or so. And last week's cool snap over the state of Alaska is going to be exiting, and high pressure is going to be in control. Speaking of high pressure along the eastern seaboard, you're going to see temperatures mostly in the 70s and 80s, and look at the small pocket of 90-degree readings. We'll have to watch it very carefully there. Las Vegas should see 89, 75 for San Francisco, 64 Seattle. Now these forecasts coming up for Thursday. CNN's Prime News continues now with Bernie in Washington.
Thank you, Karen. Still ahead on Prime News, the Haitian refugees and what comes next.
It is from Kodak. It delivers the highest resolution, microfine grain, superior image structure, for ultra-sharp detail. It is called Ektar. Ektar Film by Kodak. The genius is in the details. Ektar Film now comes in a new cartonless package in 25, 100, and 1000 speeds.
Here's the real beauty of Rust-Oleum protective coatings. A tough barrier against the elements. Rust-Oleum, the name that means protection.
Don't get hit by an annual fee. Carry the card that doesn't charge one. And keep yourself out of the hole. It pays to discover.
Prime News continues, followed by Larry King Live after this local commercial break. Next on CNN.
Sunday on TBS. It's the very first Bond movie.
You won't get away with it this time, Dr. Bond.
The first bad guy. Neat trick. Tall chick.
Looking for Shell?
No, I'm just looking.
The first medium dry martini.
Shaken, not stirred.
The first time for everything. Almost. Sean Connery is James Bond in the very first Bond movie, Dr. No. 10:35 Eastern, Sunday morning on TBS.
The New Yorker. It's been called the best magazine in the world, probably the best magazine that ever was. See if you agree. Call this number and get 52 weekly issues of The New Yorker for just $25.95. That's $65 off the cover price. Week after week, the quality of The New Yorker speaks for itself. So call 1-800-257-1257 for 52 weekly issues of the best magazine in the world. Yes, The New Yorker.
This is CNN.
Talking about sex to your children is no game, but parents now have a way to make the message fun and informative. Preserving the richness of our natural resources. Some say it's a battle between the rich and the poor. And giving black youth someone to look up to with pride. The roles played by role models. Those stories are coming up, but first, it is a critical stage for refugees who have fled their homeland of Haiti. Camps are full, yet the tide keeps flowing. Just yesterday, a record number of Haitians were rescued at sea, which raises the question, what next? Our military affairs correspondent, Wolf Blitzer from Guantanamo Bay.
Haitian refugees of all ages are arriving at the U.S. naval base at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, faster than the U.S. Coast Guard can return them, and there's no end in sight. The sprawling tent city the U.S. military has established is today at full capacity, 747 tents housing 12,500 refugees. The base's limited water, sewage, and power facilities are jammed. And with the temperatures already in the 100s and the hurricane season approaching, the situation is about to get worse. Local military commanders are waiting for senior administration officials in Washington to decide what to do with the thousands preparing to flee the spreading economic, political, and social turmoil in Haiti. They suspect that more room will have to be made at Guantanamo. John Ranford was among 309 Haitians a Coast Guard cutter picked up off a flimsy 40-foot boat this week.
I watch a lot of stuff like on television, Peru, where all the other cities having problems. I mean, this is worse than them.
These Haitians have been given the bad news. They're being sent back to Haiti. They wait patiently in line, and U.S. military officers insist there have been only minor disturbances in recent weeks. Army Brigadier General Kenneth Simpson commands the military's Joint Task Force at Guantanamo.
We have no difficulty in managing them in the camps. When we ask them to move or to do something, they cooperate readily.
Among those waiting in line is 6-year-old Amilca Veluz. This is the second time the U.S. government is sending Cassius Vernio and his family back to Haiti. They first fled for the high seas last November, shortly after Haiti's democratically elected president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, was ousted by the military. They spent a month at Guantanamo before being sent back to Haiti. Now they wait to go back again. But he promises he will try again. Like almost all of the refugees here, he says the Haitian military will kill him if he goes back.
We're getting some that have come by for a second time, some that have come by a third time. We're getting some that were in Nicaragua, in a safe third country, and decided that they didn't want to go there. They went back to Haiti, and now are coming through again.
But there are some lucky ones. These Haitians have been authorized to come to the United States. After extensive screening, the Immigration and Naturalization Service qualifies about 1 in 5. So far, more than 7,000 of the more than 33,000 refugees brought to Guantanamo since the coup have been cleared to come to the United States. Wolf Blitzer, CNN, at the U.S. Naval Base at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba.
The Pentagon says Peru tried to build the United States after last month's attack on a U.S. military aircraft. The C-130 was on an anti-drug mission when a Peruvian fighter opened fire. One U.S. crew member was killed. The Pentagon now says Peru wanted repayment for $20,000 it spent caring for survivors and repairing the plane. The bill was later withdrawn.
The United States has suspended landing rights for Yugoslavia's national airline to punish Serbia for failing to allow relief aid into war-ravaged Bosnia. The move will eliminate 80% of the business of Yugoslavia's airline. The move comes after Serbian forces attacked a relief convoy on Monday, killing a Red Cross worker. U.S. officials say they are consulting with European countries about further sanctions. Congressional negotiators have agreed to fund the construction of a $1 billion Seawolf submarine. President Bush has argued that there's no need for the subs and would like to eliminate 2 Seawolves from the defense budget. Democratic presidential candidate Bill Clinton favors the Seawolf. The Senate had wanted to build both. The construction of the single Seawolf will give a boost to the defense industry in New England.
Congress can now say it took a stand against congressional pay hikes. But in fact, today's near-unanimous votes in the House and Senate were not even necessary. The 27th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution took effect yesterday, over 200 years after it was first proposed. It forbids Congress from giving itself an immediate pay raise. What Congress did today was approve something that had already happened.
Registering to vote soon could be as easy as mailing a letter. The Senate today passed a bill requiring automatic voter registration when people apply for a driver's license or for social service benefits. It would also allow voter registration by mail. Supporters of the bill say it makes voting easier for the poor and the disabled. Opponents claim it would encourage voting fraud. The White House has opposed the bill but has not said whether it will veto the measure if it passes the House.
Still ahead in sports, he returns to the court, this time on the coaching roster.
Welcome to Hotel Views, the summer getaway. Holiday Inn or Ramada? Bob?
Thank you. Susan, you heat rash. At Holiday Inn, you get a place to eat, a place to sleep, and a place to swim. Come on, it's a perfect vacation.
Bob, you compost heap. Ramada's got great rooms, nice restaurants, and refreshing pools, just like Holiday, but at a better price. And now with Ramada's summer sale, you and the family can get away for as low as $39 a night. You could save enough to buy some breath mints. There's no debate. Ramada's in, Holiday's out.
I'm not just lazy, I'm tired, and so's Barney. Ever since we joined MCI Friends and Family to get the extra 20% savings, AT&T keeps hassling us to come back. It's not worth it. The savings they promise are off their own higher rates. Come on, I might be lazy, but I got better things to do than sit around and listen to AT&T. Minutes ago.
You can actually make more money during a recession, if you know how. Every week since 1923, the Kiplinger-Washington letter has helped readers take advantage of profitable opportunities in good times and bad. It takes you behind the headlines and shows you ingenious new ways to make and save money in your business and personal affairs. It answers your toughest questions about your career, investments, your taxes. The next 4 issues from Kiplinger are yours free when you call now. And when you call today, you'll also receive free this 48-page guide, Investments for Today and Tomorrow. Discover how you can get in on the last great tax shelter, plus so much more. Call now. Kiplinger will start your 4 free issues and bill you only $48. That's $15 off the regular rate. If you're not completely satisfied, return the bill marked canceled and owe nothing. Call 1-800-776-7200. That's 1-800-776-7200.
An Illinois woman today was reunited with her 5-year-old son in California. That's where the child was found. Authorities say Patrick Geyser was kidnapped by his father 2 years ago. Last Friday, another man recognized a picture of the boy in a Los Angeles casting directory and contacted police. Sarah Brote says she is taking her son back to Springfield.
After months of bad publicity, it looks like Joe Camel can stand the heat. A media blitz against the cigarette ad cartoon Camel began in December after a study found Joe Camel as familiar as Mickey Mouse to 6-year-olds. However, R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company reports sales of Camel cigarettes rose 6% in the first 3 months of this year. But analysts say the first quarter of 1991 was weak, making the latest results look better.
Mary Poppins' childhood hint. Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down will soon be obsolete in Britain. Martin Jones, coincidentally the father of 5, has invented a new device for administering those nasty-tasting syrups. It's a syringe that measures exact drug dosages. Britain's health department says on July 1st it will begin replacing millions of spoons with syringes.
For parents and children, sex can be the one topic both are all too willing to avoid. Now, a new game is trying to get parents and children talking. CNN medical correspondent Andrew Holtz reports.
Youngsters are eager for information about sex,
Yes. Sometimes. The first.
even if it's not always easy to talk about.
It isn't human nature to talk about something that, you know, it isn't really.
You're embarrassed.
You never. I know, because you don't naturally embarrass yourself.
Also, I wouldn't just go up to my parents and say, Mom and Pop, can we talk about sex over the dinner table, over dinner?
Because the subject can be so embarrassing, a game was developed to lend some structure to make it a little easier to bring up the subject of sex.
Each player responds to situations outlined on game cards.
My friend Jill told me that her uncle tries to touch her in ways that she does not like.
Anybody ever tries to touch anybody and they don't want to, they should tell people. Even if you're confused and afraid and scared. Right? Mm-hmm.
The Talk, Listen, Care kit contains pamphlets with basic sex information. There are no right or wrong answers. The game provides a format for talking about sex facts and values.
Because it's one thing to say, go read this book, which is what happened to a lot of people. But it's another thing to hear how your parents think and approach a problem, especially as difficult and complex as issues of sexuality.
Is it safer to let Scott drink at home or risk that he and his friends will sneak beer away from home? Not ready for this.
Even when the questions are not specifically about sex, they raise issues of responsibility, family rules, trust, and risks faced by young people. More than 30,000 Talk, Listen, Care kits have been distributed, and while the designers say the kit usually works well, it doesn't always. Betsy Riles says her 8-year-old daughter refused to play.
If talking about sex isn't really natural and playing games together isn't really natural, you're not going to be able to sit down and play a game about sexual issues.
He gets it.
You get it. Oh.
Ultimately, parents decide when to play and how or if to discuss particular sexual issues with their children. The game doesn't make parenting easy.
What really happens when it's your kid who's doing something that you think they shouldn't or don't want them to or are scared?
Watch out.
Watch out.
Once begun, the thinking and talking can go on long after the game is over. Andrew Holtz, CNN Medical News, Boston.
Vasectomies, the most common form of male sterilization, apparently do not increase the risk of heart disease. That's the finding from a study of 15,000 men with vasectomies. The procedure involves cutting the tubes that transport sperm. Researchers say more work is needed to study a possible increased risk of lung and prostate cancer.
News from Medicine is brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb Company, makers of Bufferin. For strong aspirin pain relief, discover the strength of Bufferin.
Boy, this couch weighs a ton. Where does it go, Miss Lansbury?
Oh, right there, please. Wow. If I lifted that, I'd need Bufferin for the aches and pains afterwards.
You really believe in Bufferin?
I certainly do.
It's strong, huh?
Extra strength Bufferin has the strongest dosage of aspirin that you can buy. And I've discovered that the buffers don't weaken it. They just help prevent aspirin stomach upset.
Shouldn't you discover the strength of Bufferin?
And for nighttime aches, pains, and sleeplessness, try Bufferin AF Nighttime. It's aspirin-free.
Tonight on Sports Tonight, got all kinds of baseball for you. The A's and the O's at Camden Yard, plus the St. Louis Cardinals with a chance to move into a first-place tie in the National League East. All that, plus you could win the adventure of a lifetime tonight at 11.
Recently, astronomers discovered the first planet outside our solar system. And we suppose the Chrysler Town & Country will be the minivan ranked best in owner satisfaction there, too. Assuming life there is intelligent.
Now get $500 cash back during Chrysler's first national minivan sale.
Manolo, with just his hands,
He does the impossible. And with him, there's Sector. Sector. No limits.
Ready for the perfect vacuum cleaner? Here it is, the Dirt Devil Power Pack. The convenience of a canister vacuum with a power nozzle that adjusts to any surface. Get power and convenience with Power Pack from Dirt Devil.
A golden retriever in San Diego could give Michael Jordan a run for his money, then switch sports with the grace of a Deion Sanders. Bud, or Air Bud as they call him, has already made NBA guest appearances, but his owner, Kevin DeCicco, also shows off Bud's skills as a goalie, with a tennis ball substituting for a hockey puck. DeCicco also says Bud will catch any pitch you throw at him, including throws clocked as fast as 72 miles an hour. Only Nick Charles can top that, and he has sports now in Atlanta.
Boy, Bernie, I thought my dog Daisy was the cat's meow. Well, Dan Issel jumped from the broadcast booth into the coaching box today when he was named new coach of the NBA Denver Nuggets. Issel had been an analyst on Nuggets telecast the past 4 years, but he's legendary in Denver because of the 10 seasons he played for the Nuggets. Issel has no coaching experience, but his first move was approving the hiring of former Charlotte Hornets head coach Gene Littles to become his assistant. Issel, though, brings to the job a strong work ethic, pro experience, and what he claims is the key. It's called bridging the gap.
Everybody seems to be enamored with my dental work. Let me just say that the bridge, now that I don't play any longer, the bridge is permanent. It doesn't come out, and so we won't have to worry about it falling out or me taking it out when I get angry at the players or anything like that. So now that we have that area covered, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, the key to coaching success. Look good, I guess. In other NBA news, the Houston Rockets took the interim title off Rudy Tomjanovich's back when they gave him a 3-year contract to remain as coach today. Tomjanovich, who played 11 years with the Rockets and was an assistant and scout for 9 seasons with them, replaced Don Chaney in February and led the Rockets to 16 wins in 30 games. It wasn't enough to make the playoffs, but Team Brass was impressed, especially with the discipline Tomjanovich infused in the club. Well, the Giants are the surprise team of the National League, and the beat went on this afternoon when they stayed propped on top in the West by knocking off the best team in the East, the Pirates, at Candlestick Park. Pitching's been a key to San Francisco's resurgence, but Bud Black has been a non-contributor, and today he got thumped early when the Pirates' Steve Buechele pulled a pitch in the air and out for a second inning home run. That, though, was the end of Black's problems. He had his off-speed stuff biting beautifully, and it had the Pirates' Jay Bell flailing away. Black pitched into the 8th and gave up just 4 hits. The Giants finally got to Pittsburgh starter Zane Smith and tied it in the 6th, and then Matt Williams used his strength to fight off an inside pitch and muscle it into shallow left to drive in Will Clark with a go-ahead run. Later, with a man on third, Mike Felder hit a pinch pop fly to shallow center. Andy Van Slyke made the catch, but not the throw immediately. So Corey Snyder on third tagged and came galloping home with the insurance run. Bud Black got his first win of the season, while the Giants beat 5-game winner Zane Smith and the Pirates to hold on to first place in the West for another day. Well, that's sports for another Prime News, but we'll be back at 11 o'clock with a full half hour of CNN Sports tonight. Prime News, though, continues now with Susan Rook.
Nick, thank you. Well, delegates at United Nations-sponsored talks in Nairobi have been unable to agree on a treaty to conserve the Earth's plants and animals. As CNN's Gary Stryker reports in our Earth Matters segment, money is at the heart of the dispute.
Consider all the animals on Earth, all the species of birds, fish, and insects, and all the plants that grow. Consider the incredible variety of life on Earth. That's the meaning of biodiversity, an irreplaceable genetic resource now threatened in many areas of the world by pollution and overexploitation. Experts say up to 25% of species now living will become extinct within our lifetime. That's the reason for the Biodiversity Treaty.
Well, what we're trying to do is negotiate a treaty that's going to save the biological resources of the world that are being rapidly diminished.
At the UN Environment Headquarters in Nairobi, negotiators from more than 90 nations are putting the final touches on the treaty so it can be signed at the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro next month. But there are snags in these talks, mainly between the rich industrialized countries of the north and the poor developing nations of the south, where most of the world's biodiversity is found. Developing countries want more financial aid for conservation.
They basically say, if we're going to take care of this rainforest and forego the opportunities for exploiting the materials, then we need resources from the north, from the affluent countries to allow us to do this.
Developing nations also want this treaty to establish their rights to share in the growing biotechnology industries of the north, like the pharmaceutical companies that make profitable drugs from plants harvested in rainforests.
We want to have a fair and equitable sharing of the results and products of this biotechnology, which has made use of the genetic resources that we have provided.
The U.S. is taking much of the heat at these talks. Developing countries say Washington is blocking many of their proposals.
We are negotiating and the United States are not agreeing with the rest of the world.
Conservation groups say U.S. negotiators are trying to water down the treaty.
The U.S. seems to want a treaty that sounds nice but requires nothing.
U.S. delegates say some proposals in the treaty would require the U.S. federal government to override conservation laws of the states, and that many complex issues ranging from high seas navigation to patent rights are covered by language so ambiguous it cannot be enforced. They say there's too much rush to finish this treaty in time for the Earth Summit.
We want something that we can lay on the table and really carry through on, not just a photo opportunity in Rio.
That could be a photo opportunity without President Bush, who will attend the Earth Summit but will not sign this treaty if it does not measure up to U.S. demands.
I think that's a real mistake, because I think Bush will be very embarrassed if the rest of the world signs this treaty in Rio and he doesn't.
The final draft of the Biodiversity Treaty is scheduled to be completed on Friday. Gary Stryker, CNN, Nairobi.
Still to come on Prime News. This role is not an act, providing role models in a place where they are sorely needed, the inner city.
Yeah, how far away do you think I can get in 72 hours?
I wouldn't trust my car past the city limits.
For the way you travel today more than ever, the smart money is on budget. Now at Budget, get a Lincoln or minivan with unlimited mileage for just $199 per week. The smart money is on budget.
Ask anyone who's driven a Ford lately. Ask them about quality. One of the reasons 5 of the 10 best-selling cars and trucks in America are Fords. The F-Series pickup, Taurus, Explorer, Escort, and Ranger. 5 out of 10 of the country's best sellers. It's quality that breeds success. Have you driven a Ford lately? It's more than just a question. It's an answer.
Karen, your broker's on 3. Karen? Do you want me to take a message?
Quick and Riley, a new breed of broker. 1-800-THE-BREED.
Headline News, I'm Chuck Roberts.
Baltic leaders are already working to...
Every 30 minutes, CNN Headline News updates the latest news, business, and sports, as well as lifestyles, features, and your local news. CNN Headline News.
It's a question that has been asked frequently since the Los Angeles riots. How can youngsters in the inner city escape poverty, drugs, and violence? A program in Oakland, California points to one possible solution. CNN's Greg Lefebvre reports.
It's a tall order for an 11-year-old, but Milford Lewis is pulling himself out of the inner city Oakland cycle of violence and despair. Helping him, men he never knew, but who want him to succeed, by providing him the male role models missing in his young life.
It's all male role modeling. It's all males modeling to young boys what it is to be a man.
The boys and men make up the 60 members of Simba, Swahili for young lion.
Our life work is to help our people create more positive in terms of self-images, greater self-love, and higher self-esteem.
Lesson 1, nonviolence in a community racked by its highest homicide rate ever.
Like if one of them get in a fight,
You're supposed to try to help them out.
Help them out how?
Like, talk to them about it so they won't try to get no revenge on them.
To effectively deal with anger, fear, sadness, guilt, and shame.
They quote Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Don Juan, and the Bible.
You know, he's seen a lot of things that he shouldn't have seen at his age.
Typical of many Simba boys, Milford was abandoned by his mother, lived in a car with his drug-addicted father, who then died. Milford's aunt stepped in.
Before Milford got in a lot of trouble, just at school, you know, and things. And since he's been going to Simba, they're teaching him how to, you know, have self-control, how to, you know, be something.
The boys meet a cop, a probation officer, a Muslim grad student, a mortgage banker. All black success stories.
And so the men are working on creating more wealth for themselves, but the way they're doing it, they don't have to sell drugs or, you know, pimp women or something negative, or rob or steal.
Now I'm just another guy who's suffering the same kind of stuff that he is. And he sees a positive way of dealing with it without going out and getting drunk and firing up people. And
outside the meeting, a mother pleads to have her son included. He is.
Peace, my brother. My name is Brian.
How can I support you? Yeah, how can I support you?
The boys learn processing, talking out their fears and angers, finding non-violent ways to cope.
Has anything bad happened to you?
Jordan messed up my shutout in pitching.
How can I support you?
By helping me in school.
What about you? You haven't had a fight this week? Good. Well, you just told me you knocked the boy out.
I have seen a marketable difference in this young man in just assuming responsibility. He's on traffic, and he loves having that responsibility.
I said, how can I support you? He said, by helping me with my attitude.
What did you say?
I said, oh.
We are African-American men helping African-American boys become African-American men who will continue to help African-American boys.
What did you learn about Milford today?
Daddy learned his algebra.
My life going good.
A throwaway child becomes a young lion, becoming a man. Greg LaFave, CNN, Oakland.
Thank you for joining us for Prime News. I'm Susan Rook at CNN Center in Atlanta. Good night, Bernie.
Good night, Susan. I'm Bernard Shaw in Washington. Next on Larry King Live, a debate on the safety and side effects of the sleeping pill Halcyon.
Coming up, Larry King Live, followed by World News after a word from your local cable system here on CNN.
It's the Bikini Open! Yay! You picked the winner! Yeah!
The action is only on pay-per-view!
Hotter than ever. Order Bikini Open 8 on Viewer's Choice.
If you thought it was impossible to finance a quality used car because of poor credit, look again. Quality Resales in Nashville and Franklin offers a wide selection of quality, reliable, pre-owned vehicles, and they specialize in helping buyers reestablish their credit. Quality Resales has convenient locations in Franklin and on Charlotte Pike, and they continue to serve hundreds of satisfied customers who thought it couldn't be done. Come to Quality Resales and drive your credit problems away. Quality Resales, quality cars, and the credit you deserve.
Sprint's is Nashville's largest furniture showroom.
Sprint's is the biggest selection of recliners, sectionals, and sleepers in Nashville.
Sprint's is a complete in-store design center with a selection of over 40,000 fabrics.
Sprint's is an Oriental rug gallery, over 1,000 rugs backed by the Sprint's reputation.
Sprint's is savings 30 to 50% every day, and most of all,
Sprint's is where you should be shopping.
Sometimes
In order to re-enter your world, you may need to leave it first.
This is CNN.
Welcome to Larry King Live. Tonight, tossing and turning over Halcyon. How strong is the case linking the popular sleeping pill to anxiety, depression, and acts of violence? Plus, a Catholic teacher gets fired for marrying against the wishes of the church. Should the government help her? Now,